Hey, what's up guys and gals, my name is Ricknineg. Thank you so much for joining me today. We're going to be taking a look at I Love Lucy, more specifically Desi Arnaz. Before we get to that, I do want to give a shout out to every single one of you who have supported my channel, and a big welcome to all the new people of my channel. I just want to give you a friendly reminder that down in the description there's a lot of links to lots of things, including ways that you can get an autograph photo of me in the merchandise store, as well as some limited coffee mugs with Be Hopeful and Ricknineg on them. So take a look at that. It's a great way to support the channel. As I said previously, we're going to take a look at Desi Arnaz. Now, if you don't know, Desi Arnaz played Ricky Ricardo on the fantastic show I Love Lucy, and he was a big foundational part of the show. Of course, on screen he played Ricky Ricardo, who of course was Lucy Ricardo's husband, but as well as off screen, he did a lot of work on the show. He was of course Lucille Ball's real life husband. And I decided to make this video compiling 8 really big things about Desi Arnaz that clearly makes him a genius. Now let me tell you, I am sure there are more than 8 things, but I think that these are 8 solid things that we have to not glance over that made the show I Love Lucy possible. You have to remember that he was a giant force behind the show that pioneered a lot of ideas and concepts, and really without him there would be no I Love Lucy. So let's begin with our first moment, and that is that Desi Arnaz was the one who created and pioneered the 3-camera system. Now, according to the history books and Hollywood insiders, Jerry Fairbanks was the individual who created the idea of a multiple camera system. However, you can say that Desi Arnaz is the one who created and pioneered, along with Carl Freud, the 3-camera system that was used in conjunction to the acting, very similar to a theater-like play. The first ever I Love Lucy episode filmed was Lucy Thinks Ricky's Trying to Murder Her, and they filmed that episode with not 3 but 4 cameras. The problem was it was so hard to get all that film and footage edited, so they decided to scrap one of the cameras and use 3 of them. It was Arnaz who insisted that one camera be used for long shots, the second camera be used for medium shots, and the third to be used for close-up. All this film would be spliced together to make one full TV episode. No one had ever done this before, and it was Desi Arnaz who created it. Now, the second point that I'm going to look at is Arnaz's decision to have a live audience during the taping of I Love Lucy. Of course, with the 3-camera system, and most importantly, this includes no laugh track. When you hear any laughing on I Love Lucy, it is not a laugh track. This is the live audience reacting to what they're seeing right in front of them as the cameras are moving back and forth recording the action. It's an amazing concept to think about. It's actually used today in many TV shows, and that's amazing that the concept has continued for all these years. But yes, it was Desi Arnaz who created the concept of having a live audience during the taping of a TV show. What a great mind. Now, of course, some of these concepts can blend together, and while the second moment had to do with the concept of no laugh track being used, the third moment and the third big decision that Desi Arnaz decided to do is, well, should they tape the show in front of the audience or have no audience? What was common during the time was to use one camera, no audience, and of course, a laugh track. However, I Love Lucy did the opposite. 3 cameras, no laugh track, and a live audience. Arnaz knew that his wife, Lucille Ball, performed best when she was getting feedback from people, whether she was funny or not. She fed off of the people's humor, their emotions, and just the feeling of an audience laughing at what you're doing to help her act. And so Arnaz did this and decided to have a live audience watching their each and every move during the tape. As we move on to our fourth moment, I want you to realize that we can take some of these for granted because they are so common and so ingrained in our brain that these may seem like obvious choices. But then again, these were groundbreaking at the time, including the fourth, which is to film inside a movie studio stage. They did not know how to film I Love Lucy, and they went through all these ideas of going to an actual quote-unquote theater location where there was a stage and film there, but it just didn't work. So Desi Arnaz decided, hey, let's go to a movie studio, rent it out, and have a live studio audience there, use 3 cameras, and tape it right next door while they're filming other movies. It was, again, very revolutionary, and no one had thought to film a TV show in the same studio where they film movies. And he did it, and you know what? That's one of the most popular things to do today and age. I want to let you know that, of course, I can make a video on each of these 8 points. However, I do want to try to summarize them as quickly as possible, and this includes the 5th one. This was the idea that Desi Arnaz had the forethought of the concept of a rerun. How do we know this? Well, he decided to take a pay cut as well as Lucille Ball in exchange for keeping all the rights, film, and footage of the I Love Lucy episodes. To this, of course, they became very valuable as the studios and other companies wanted to re-air the episodes, and so they would get residual money, residual checks. Again, this was a very smart business decision on his side, and even Lucille Ball credits him to make that decision. The rerun was never even in existence, but Desi Arnaz thought that if he kept those rights, they would benefit him in the future, and he was absolutely correct. Of course, guys and gals, the 5th moment leads to the 6th. All that residual money, and they became millionaires very, very quickly, almost overnight, in the sense of the popularity of the show. Now, with this moment, we have to pay attention to the creation of Desilu, which is, of course, the mixture of the name Desi and Lucy, Desilu. And at total, they had 4 movie studios. They went from renting their first stage to buying the entire studio and then buying 3 more, which is a crazy thought. That helped boost and create shows, of course, like Star Trek, The Untouchables, Mission Impossible, and those are just a few of them. They created this multi-million-dollar empire and influenced movies and TV up until today. None of these moments are in chronological order, so of course we come to the 7th, which has to do with the decision to film I Love Lucy on 35mm film. This is, of course, a high quality film that was never used for TV shows before, versus the Kimes.cope, which is a very crude version in which they would have similar like a television monitor and then a camera filming that, which they would distribute with very inferior quality, as opposed to I Love Lucy, which is how we have very clear, high quality, black and white footage of the show because of this decision of Desi Arnaz to go to 35mm film. It was also expensive, but for him, he thought it was worth it, and he was right. And finally, we are down to the last and 8th moment, guys and gals. And I want you down below in the comments to let me know which one you believe was the most influential, or which ones were you surprised to hear about that you never knew about. I would really love to read that in the comments. Now again, number 8 has to do with a very important point, and that has to do with the story of Lucy's pregnancy. Of course, in real life, she got pregnant with Desi Arnaz Jr., and they decided, oh, here we go, we can't make the show now, because they would never allow the story of a pregnancy to be on TV in the 1950s. The censors would not like it. It was seen as too risque for the time, believe it or not. However, it was Desi Arnaz, along with Jess Oppenheimer, who decided, hey, why? This is natural. There's nothing wrong with this. In fact, they wrote a script. They had it all done up for 3 men, a priest, a rabbi, and a minister. All 3 of them blessed the script and said, yes, this is absolutely necessary for you to make an episode on this. We love it. There's nothing wrong with it. However, they were banned from using the word pregnancy. In fact, most people attribute I Love Lucy's popularity mostly to these pregnancy storylines. And again, it is all due to Desi Arnaz. Well, that's it, guys and gals, for these 8 moments. Like I said, there are probably so many more that I can list regarding Desi Arnaz and his genius, both on screen and of course behind the screen. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something especially, and I hope that whatever's going on in your life, you're keeping positive. You're not letting any problem or difficulty pull you back, but you should be moving forward. It is so important. Never forget how unique and important you are in life. It's something that I sometimes forget, and I don't want you to forget at all. We'll see you next time, guys and gals. Don't forget to think positively, always better yourself, and most importantly, be hopeful.